Hi, James again, back with video number 3, and this one I'm gonna call my series ranking extravaganza. Now I've seen other videos that my friends have done, or people I follow, where they'll do one video focusing on a series, and I had several that I wanted to do, but there's also several other videos I want to do, and I didn't want to make a separate video for every one of these series that I have here. So I'll be brief on each series, and I'll just say up front that for all the ones I'm going to mention, I either love all the movies on the list or at least like them all. So ones that are at the bottom I just like the least or love the least, but I didn't pick a series intentionally where I love 2 or 3 of them and hate the other ones. I'm not sure how many of those lists I had. Well, okay, yeah, there's a few that I could mention, but I'm not going to. Okay, so I'm going to start with the big one, Star Wars. Okay, so I guess I'll go from bottom to the top. So out of all the 11 Star Wars movies, I'll put at the bottom, number 11 is Return of the Jedi. And this is one that I got freaked out when I saw Superman 3 in the theater. So that's dating myself. And when my parents, or when the family went to see Return of the Jedi, I was proud of myself that I didn't look away or hide behind the chair when I saw the movie, or scream or cry or anything, because I believe I was 7 when this came out. Let me see. Okay, number 10 would be the original, A New Hope, Star Wars Episode 4. I was not old enough to see this one. It came out in 77, I believe. 83, 87, 77, yeah. And it's good. It's boosted by how good Rogue One is, where you can watch them almost pretty much back to back. So it's better because of Rogue One, but it's still a good movie. Number 9 we have Attack of the Clones, and right above it Revenge of the Sith. Now I do like the prequels a lot, and I've said in the past that I think the prequels are better than the original trilogy, and I'd say for the most part they are. Having revisited them recently, I do acknowledge, like, while I think he's a great actor, while I think Hayden Christensen is a great actor, watch Shattered Glass, watch Life as a House, to start with, Takers. He is a little over the top in these 2 movies, and having gone through all of the Clone Wars animated series, I like that Anakin Skywalker more. Okay, that being said, moving on. Number 7 we have The Empire Strikes Back. It is a great movie. Not the best Star Wars movie, but it is a great one. Number 6 we have the first of the sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens, which is just so much fun. J.J. Abrams did such a good job. I think the standout of this one is Harrison Ford as Han Solo again. So funny. Let me see. Above that, number 5, The Last Jedi. Last Jedi. I was surprised at how funny this movie was, and I really don't get the hate at all. It's a Rian Johnson movie. I don't get the hate about any of it. Snoke was awesome. Kylo Ren was awesome. Rey was awesome. It's awesome. Luke was awesome. Right above that, number 4, and I'm fairly certain I'm consistent with this, Rise of Skywalker. I think it's the best of the sequel trilogy. Not a mess. I don't get the hate on this one either. To have the Emperor back, so cool. Rey was a badass. Kylo Ren was awesome. Fun to get to see the Knights of Ren, albeit briefly. Let me see. Okay, number 3. What used to be my favorite Star Wars movie, is now my number 3 because of the 2 above it, and it's The Phantom Menace. I've got a soft spot for this one because it's like a comfort movie for me. It made me feel better when I was sick one day, and I just gravitated towards it ever since. And you've got Darth Maul, one of the best fight scenes in any Star Wars movie. Not hallway scene, that's Darth Vader in Rogue One. Jake Lloyd did a great job as Anakin. Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, it's just great. Number 2, first of 2 of the outlier, not part of the original prequel or sequel trilogy. We got Solo, A Star Wars Story. Now, I don't know what Phil Lord and Chris Miller's Solo would have looked like, but Ron Howard's, for as much as he did it, worked on it, was amazing. Great crime heist caper movie. Woody Harrelson, Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, Chewbacca. It was awesome. And number 1, my favorite Star Wars movie, and the second of the outlier Star Wars movies, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, which best hallway fight scene ever with Darth Vader against the rebels. This would be a great movie even if it wasn't a Star Wars movie. It's just that well done. And Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso, Mads Mikkelsen as Galen Erso. Oh my god, so awesome. So that's my Star Wars rankings. Moving on, next one is the Twilight Saga. And I said I would do this if I did a ranking video for Twilight. This counts. So before I get to the rankings, at least for the first movie, okay, I'll do this. Okay, number 5. Number 5, I love all the Twilight movies. Number 5 is the original Twilight. So I just love it the least out of the 5. So, this is for you, Dalton. You may love Twilight more. I loved it first. So, number 5, Twilight, the original one. I saw this one 3 times in the theater. It was one of the ones, along with Hunger Games, which I left off this video, so whatever. Like Twilight, Hunger Games, 50 Shades of Grey. I went and saw them to see what the big deal was, and I loved Twilight. Number 4, we've got New Moon. Now, this used to be my least favorite, and just recently when I marathoned all 5 of them, I found something more that I liked about it, just a little bit more than Twilight. Twilight, the original Twilight, and Breaking Dawn Part 2, I think, are tied for me for like the best soundtracks. I don't hate the New Moon soundtrack anymore. I thought it was okay. Number 3, we've got Breaking Dawn Part 2, which still has probably the best, one of the best end credit sequences in any movie I've seen. And a great fight scene at the end. And I loved seeing Bella as a vampire. I thought she was great. Number 2, we've got Breaking Dawn Part 1. And the visual effects they did on Kristen Stewart when she's pregnant and basically wasting away to nothing. Awesome. And number 1, we've got Eclipse, the one directed by David Slade, with they're recruiting an army of vampires, newborns to come after the Cullens and Bella. And that scene where they just come up out of the water was creepy, and it has the opening of the movie before the title screen comes up. It could be the opening of a horror movie. It looked that cool, and it's that creepy, so that well done. Okay, so moving on, next is the Die Hard movies. So number 5, I'll put the original Die Hard, which takes place at Christmas time. I wouldn't call it a Christmas movie. A good action movie. Started Bruce Willis's action career. Number 4, I'll put Die Hard 2, Die Harder. I think a great addition to this was William Sadler as the bad guy. And the twist partway through the movie with the military, where they're all whatever. If you haven't seen it, where basically where they turn on the cops and all that stuff, and some of the military are like mercenaries or something. Number 3, the best of the original trilogy, but number 3 in all 5 would be Die Hard with a Vengeance, which is still an all-time classic. The like scavenger hunt around town trying to find and disarm the bombs. Sam Jackson, Bruce Willis, and Jeremy Irons as Simon, the villain. Number 2, we've got Live Free or Die Hard. Timothy Olyphant played a great villain in this. Kevin Smith was hilarious in it. And Justin Long was great. Let me see. And number 1, most people's least favorite, my favorite out of the 5. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as the daughter in number 4. Which leads me into number 1, Good Day to Die Hard, number 5, where you get the son playing John McClane's son. And if you watch the theatrical version, you get the son for most of it, and you get to see the daughter again at the end. If you watch the unrated version, she's cut out. So I prefer the theatrical version because you get to see both the kids. And I just thought it was cool. It was the coolest movie over in Russia. The action was great. Jai Courtney as John Jr., I believe, and I thought it was great. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, next one, Godfather Movies. This is quick and pretty obvious. Number 3, I'd have Godfather Part 3. It was a good movie. Al Pacino did a great job. Andy Garcia. And his name escapes me. Just say the bad guy in the movie, the rival mafia guy. I can't remember. Joe Mantegna. Yeah, he did a great job as the antagonist. Number 2, I'd put The Godfather Part 2. I don't know how anyone thinks this is better than Godfather Part 1. Spoiler for my number 1. It was I think I've only ever seen it once all the way through. It's a good movie. I'm still looking to find the Godfather Saga, which is a re-edited version of Godfather Part 1 and 2, re-edited them together chronologically. I would love to see that. You used to see that on VHS at Blockbuster, and I never rented it. I'd like to find a version of that somewhere. And obviously, like I said, number 1, Godfather Part 1, one of the greatest movies of all time, the best mob movie of all time. Marlon Brando winning the Oscar, totally deserved. So good. So good. And every time I watch it, it makes me want to go play the PS2 Godfather game, which I like to call Grand Theft Mafia. It's so cool. All right. Transformer movies. And I'm going to be in the minority on this, and I didn't write it down, but I'm going to include Bumblebee on this as part of the series. So it's 6 movies. So number 6, I put Bumblebee. I thought it was a good movie. It was good, fine, 80s homage and stuff. A little bit inconsistent with the original Transformers movie, but I was gonna rewatch them all again. It's kind of like a minor reboot, but I really wish they'd kept it consistent with bridging that to the original, unless they're going to do another Bumblebee movie. I don't know. I know that they're confirmed to do another Star Wars movie, so yay. Okay, number 5, I'll put the original Transformers, which was awesome. Number 4, I would put Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah, I like it better than the original. It is better than the original, in my opinion. Number 3, I'd put Transformers The Last Knight. I thought Anthony Hopkins was great in this one. Mark Wahlberg continuing on from Age of Extinction was great. And seeing like one of the Marines back from the first 3 movies coming back for this one. Now his name escapes me. Sorry about that. you know who I'm talking about. Tall guy from Las Vegas show and 11/22/63 stuff. Number 2, Transformers: Age of Extinction. This was an awesome movie with the Dinobots, and so good, so funny. Great soundtrack, awesome music. Imagine Dragons having an awesome song on there. Let me see. And number 1, which I used to consider the greatest action movie of all time, but the Raid movies kind of took over that. But it's my favorite Transformers movie, Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Probably my second favorite Michael Bay movie of all time. This movie's just amazing. Amazing from beginning to end. And the way they well, they did it in the first 2 movies, but the way they continued on with the Linkin Park music going all through, like the songs, but the instrumental versions of the songs going through the movie, so well done. Okay, Terminator Movies. So all 6 of the Terminator movies. At number 6, I would put The Terminator, the original. I remember watching this like 7 times in one day, taping it off Movie Network. It's a classic. Now I love all of these. Number 5, I'd put Terminator Dark Fate, which I finally watched. Not the best of the series, like, well, no, I don't know how many people said that, but I don't like how they ignored 3 and 4 and 5. No, 3 and 4, 5. Yeah, I don't like how they ignored them, but I didn't make the movie. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Effects are great. The action was great. And Arnold, the way they played Arnold in this one was interesting. Had a nice callback, kind of, to the end of Terminator 2. Number 4, I'd put Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. I used to like this as much as Terminator 2, and because of all the great callbacks to Terminator 2, but putting a comedic slant on them, I thought it was really well done. Number 3, we have Terminator Salvation. The only one that takes place entirely in the future, done by McG. Theatrical or director's cut, doesn't matter. This movie's great. I know it has this stigma of like Christian Bale losing it on the cinematographer during the movie. He acts his ass off in this movie, like he does in every one of his movies. But him and Sam Worthington, Anton Yelchin as Kyle Reese, so good. Number 2, I'd put Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Classic. I remember seeing this in the theater. I've seen all 3 versions of it. I prefer the extended version, not the extended version, just the regular extended version. Because it has Kyle Reese in a dream sequence, which was awesome. And great ending to the movie, which is spoiled by the extended ending, so it's just silly. And number 1, and this is going to appear on another list of mine, and this is Terminator Genisys. Now, I won't say too much because I don't want to repeat myself in the other video that it's going to appear in. So I'll just say I didn't like this one that much the first time I watched it, but again, I'm going to stop myself. The more I watched it, the more I found to love about it, and it's my favorite of the 6. Again, Jai Courtney, Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones, and J.K. Simmons is hilarious in it. Okay, so next is the SpiderMan movies. Okay, so I'm gonna have to pick up the pace here. I don't want to keep you guys too long. All right, number 7, most people's favorite, my least favorite of them. I'm gonna put Spider-Man 2. Didn't think much of it the first time I saw it. Liked it a little better the next time I saw it. It's still pretty good. Number 6, I'd put the original Spider-Man. Originally, my buddy and I thought this was a little overhyped. But I like what they did with making his web shooters organic. I like that thing that Sam Raimi did. And Willem Dafoe going over the top in a great way in this movie. James Franco, who I'm a big fan of. Let's see, number 5, my favorite of that trilogy, Spider-Man 3. I love Topher Grace as Eddie Brock. Now, he's not the stereotypical Eddie Brock, but I thought he played a great asshole in the movie and did a great job as Venom. Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman was great. I just thought it was better than the other two. Number 4, I'd put Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland is a great Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Great addition to the MCU. Number 3, I'll put The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, I like The Amazing Spider-Man movies better than the Sam Raimi trilogy. Dennis Leary-ness, Rhys Ifans, and Andrew Garfield was great as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Number 2, I'll put Spider-Man Far From Home. Closest thing to I knew this movie was going to be big, like big scale, big. Jake Gyllenhaal was such a great addition to this movie. Just elevated. The whole movie is elevated over top of Spider-Man Homecoming. And number 1, my favorite of the Spider-Man movies, yeah, it is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Still has one of the most, let's say, disturbing, hard-hitting death scenes I've seen in a movie. I thought it was great. Yeah, Jamie Foxx looks a little silly before and after he turns into Electro, but whatever. It's a great one. And you watch the deleted scene where Peter's father comes back. I wish they had kept that in the movie. Still wish that to this day. Hannibal movies. I'm not going to include Manhunter because I'm just including the Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal ones, but if I did, I'd put Manhunter at the bottom. So, Silence of the Lambs is at number 3. Great movie. Anthony Hopkins did a great job. Jodie Foster did a good job. Number 2 is Red Dragon. Ed Norton did a great job. Anthony Hopkins, and they expanded his role. Awesome, because he did a great job. And Tom Noonan as the... he was in the Manhunter. Ray Fiennes as the bad guy in this one. Philip Seymour Hoffman, so good. The best, obviously, Ridley Scott's Hannibal. Julianne Moore did a much better job than Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling. This movie's better than Silence of the Lambs in every single way. Scream. This is easy. 4 movies. They go 4, 3, 2, 1. I love them all. It's still, to this day, my favorite horror series. And I like the original the best. I believe I always will. 2, second best. 3, third best. 4, fourth best. It's pretty basic. Aliens movies. Now, I was going to combine the Aliens and the Predator movies and include the 2 Alien versus Predator movies, but I'm not going to. I'm going to let them stand on their own. So, I'm going to go number 6, Alien 3, David Fincher's debut, but the movie was messed with so much. Nobody hates it more than he does. He said that himself. Number 5, Ridley Scott's Alien, which is a great movie. Number 4, Alien Resurrection. I don't love it as much as I used to, but I loved how they used Ripley in this one. Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder. Number 3, Prometheus, a great return to the series for Ridley Scott. And just a great one. It didn't have Alien in the title, but big deal. Number 2, Aliens, which was tied with number 1 for the best of the series, but James Cameron, great action movie. Number 1, Alien Covenant. Ridley Scott just hit it out of the park with this one. Even closest thing to a follow-up to the original Alien as a horror movie, except with a lot of the action of aliens. I know most people like it the least. I like it the best. Okay, the Predator movies. Predator movies, out of the 4, I'd put last one, number 4, Predator 2, In the City, Gary Busey, Danny Glover. I just didn't like it as much. I didn't think it was as interesting. Number 3, I'd put Predator, great movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Carl Weathers, so good. All-time classic. Number 2, Predators, Adrian Brody. Lawrence Fishburne, so cool. Number 1, The Predator. Didn't expect to like this nearly as much as I did Shane Black, and this is a total Shane Black movie. Boyd Holbrook, so good in this movie. All right, and oh, look at that. That is all of them. As a bonus, okay. If I were to rank 50 Shades of Grey, number 3, 50 Shades of Grey, number 2, 50 Shades Freed, and number 1, 50 Shades Darker. If I were to rank the Hunger Games series, I would put Mockingjay Part 1 as number 4, Catching Fire as number 3, Mockingjay Part 2 is number 2, and the original Hunger Games is number 1. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. It's okay if you disagree with my choices. I imagine most people would. But thank you for watching. And my next video, I hope to do very soon. This was a big gap between these two, but I'm getting less and less nervous. And I think I found a good spot for the camera, finally. Okay, toodles.